Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
You are listening to Scream with Ryan C. Showers, the podcast for Scream fans just like you. Join Ryan every week as he takes a deep dive into the horror film series that defined the 90s and redefined the genre. Scream with Ryan C. Showers is your source for scene and quote analysis, character dissections, and the latest news about upcoming installments of the Scary Movie franchise.
I hear you like horror movies, Kirby, but do you like them as much as him?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Scream with Ryan C. Showers podcast, where the film critic meets the Scream fan twice a week, every Tuesday and Friday. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Now, before I go any further, I need to thank the producers of Scream with Ryan C. Showers. They include Ashley Summers from the Squirrel and Spud Shop. She and I host a Scream game every Wednesday on Instagram, so please check that out. I also need to thank TJ Jones, who comes from the Box Office Buds podcast. He is responsible for all of the graphic design of Scream with Ryan C. Showers in terms of new episode cards on social media promotion. So thank you so much to TJ for all he does. I also need to thank contributors Mark Karim, Mark Vieira, and Joey Velisi. Joey Velisi is the guy who writes the scripts for Scream with Ryan C. Showers. Episode 112, we wrote a Scream 7 script, which I read out loud, about the end of the Carpenter sisters storyline. And then the sequel to that was called Screams. It was centered around the legacy of Gail Weathers. That's episode 155. And Joey is currently working on the final Scream, which this is a product that is going to examine the relationship, the marriage of Mark and Sydney. Unlike the real Scream 7, this will feature Mark Kincaid as Sydney's husband, and she won't have a teenage daughter. Both of her daughters will be young, so it'll be much different than the real Scream 7 we're going to get. But that is going to be coming to the podcast late summer, early fall, so please tune in for that. I need to thank everybody over at Patreon. Thank you to everybody who subscribes to the Patreon at any and every tier. I'm an independent entity, so any bit of support that comes into the Patreon goes back into the podcast. Joining the Patreon gets you ad-free and early access to every episode, as well as the opportunity to join the community of the show. We have group chats across social media. In particular, Instagram is really the hub of the podcast community. More importantly, joining the Patreon is the vessel in which you would use to come onto the podcast, either in a one-on-one situation with me or a small panel. In addition, there's a guaranteed invite every month to a big group Zoom recording about a Scream topic. An exciting feature of the podcast is the audio commentary episodes. Every Scream fan knows what it was like listening to Wes Craven do the audio commentaries for the original trilogy and Scream 4, with Marianne Maddalena and Kevin Williamson and Patrick Lussier. And what I'm trying to do for my Patreon subscribers is I am going to be performing an audio commentary of a Scream or a Scream-related movie, one per month, every month. And my goal is to try to approach these as I'm doing deep analytical analysis about the characters, about the themes, about just general reaction. So it's something that I'm really proud of and I hope continues to be a cherished part of the podcast. So the commentary is available as a normal podcast episode for anybody to listen to like they would any other podcast, but it will also be available as a video watch along. So everybody, please go over to Patreon, subscribe to Scream with RCS. I would be eternally grateful. So I need to go through and thank everybody over at Patreon who is subscribed as a stab investor or a daddy/mama Ghostface. So the daddy/mama Ghostface of the Patreon are Carrie Tenney, Brett Janovich, Corey Wilson, and Stevie Shears. The stab investors include Allie, Mark Karim, Tamika Jones, David D., Garrison Nichols, Gustavo Mora, Jess Mariano, Joey Nobarini, aka The Vault, Josh Calamari, Josh Carr, Scream Queens podcast, both Josh and Justine, The Horror Project podcast, Justin Weir, Kevin Abner, Mark Vieira, PWO5, aka Philip Douglas, Quentin Harrison, and Sam Levy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scream with Ryan C. Showers. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers, and it's actually not Scream with Ryan C. Showers today. Usually, if I do a Buffy episode, I'll say it's Buffy with Ryan C. Showers, but instead, today it's Happy Horror Time with Ryan C. Showers. So everybody, please welcome my dear, dear friend, who is the producer, editor of Happy Horror Time, Jacob Randall. Hey, Jacob.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. So listener, Jacob is kind of, if you know me, you know I love the podcast. I've had it. Jacob is like the Pumps to my Jen from the I've Had It podcast. And they're actually releasing a book that actually will have just been released 2 days before this podcast goes out to press. And, Jacob and I actually talked about writing a book yesterday. And we were like, should we do it? I mean, we actually were on to something. But then Jacob had the audacity to ask me, Ryan, do you read? And I'm just like, You know, you know that gif of Reese Witherspoon from Legally Blonde where she says law school? Like that's like how I felt. So Jacob, how does our friendship come back from that?
You're like, care to explain that, Jacob? Like, I mean, look, there's no good way to ask someone if they read books or not. And I was just trying to like figure out, how do we relate over books? How do I say that? So obviously I failed, and you do read books, so do I, but we will never talk about it because of that awful way I asked you.
No, it's okay. Water under the bridge. So, okay. The interesting thing about Jacob and I, a commonality that we have many similarities, but my producer Ashley showed up in both of our dreams recently, and I just have to, I know, right? Because Ashley is sitting here with me and Jacob before we introduce our newbies to the podcast, but she was the villain in both of our dreams, which I think is wild because she is the most likable person in my Patreon, on the podcast in general. Like every single person who's involved in the Patreon or in the podcast in general loves Ashley. Like she is the likable one of the two of us, and yet she was the villain in my dream, and then like the next night she was the villain in Jacob's dream.
It is so like you to reveal this live on the podcast. I can tell from Ashley's face, she had no idea.
Honor.
I mean, she was a villain in my dream, but there were multiple villains,
Yeah.
and we do love Ashley in real life. But yeah, I mean, I can't help what I dream.
I know. So Ashley, you are definitely. I think it's almost like that thing where it's like something is so true in reality, so then your dream gives it to you in the inverse. I think that's what it has to be.
Or I might just be like doing some sort of witchcraft to mess with both of you.
True. Maybe you are the villain. I don't know.
I mean, and I also like to read.
So yeah. Oh, good. See, we have another reader, Jacob.
Yay, good. There's at least one.
Okay.
And Jacob, next time you need to ask somebody if they like to read, you just say, what's your favorite book? Or what was the last book that you loved, like you really enjoyed?
See,
Well,
this is why I have her, because she helps me. I take a very like blunt approach to something, and she can massage it into something nice. And that, again, that's why people like her more than me. That's why her approval rating is higher.
I know, I need to take a lesson because I literally said, do you read books?
And I read like 1,000 pages a week in law school for 3 years. And Jacob's like, do you read, Ryan? Do you like read? I mean, like, I'm like, bitch, I'm just teasing. So, okay. So Jacob, like you've been on the podcast many, many times, and you know, we are very, very close friends, but like, it's weird. This is kind of odd. Like we're sitting here with like other boys. Like, I just don't know what to do with this.
I know, and it's actually really, I didn't mean to go in that direction with your comment there, but it is really hot in here and getting sweatier as the minutes pass by. So
Yeah. Anyways, so everybody, so Jacob is the producer of the Happy Horror Time podcast. I mention it all the time, but this is the first time I'm actually even meeting the co-hosts of the Happy Horror Time podcast. It's been a long time coming, as my good friend Taylor Swift said many times. So I'm so excited to not only like meet them, but also have them on my show. So everybody, please welcome Matt and Tim. Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Really good. It's weird to see you in the, like, this is, I know it's not the flesh, but kind of the flesh, right? You know, a moving image, like we're actually speaking to each other. So it's
I mean,
odd.
I've heard so much about you and heard so much of you.
Yeah.
So being able to finally see and talk to you, it doesn't feel weird, actually. To me, it doesn't feel weird because I've heard your voice so much, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I have to say, like, you guys, I love the podcast so much. And I listened to it a couple of times before Jacob and I really became friends. And I obviously knew about your social media presence and stuff. But there is something so magical about your podcast. And I want to actually spend a good amount of time talking about the podcast before we even talk about Scream. So I also just want to say hi to Tim. Hi, Tim, Scream 3 lover, friend, you know.
Hello. And it's very comfortable in this room. I don't know why Jacob's hot.
literally have a fan right here. So
I'm hot also. Tim's body temperature is lower. We always talk about
Very
Tim
comfortable.
also doesn't sweat. It's weird.
Jacob, so first of all, something trademark, at least I see it as a trademark or an iconic thing that the Happy Horror Time people do. I don't know, if you guys see it this way, but in your YouTube videos, because you guys are not only just a podcast, so you're a YouTube channel. So if I say podcast, I don't mean it in an insulting way, because you guys, you're made for YouTube. Matt and Tim are both very handsome guys, and you guys have very fun personalities. Of course, a great thing for YouTube. So you guys always wear different cool horror shirts in your videos, and when you're recording and stuff, and when you go to do pictures out in the wild. So I sent a package with 3 Scream with Ryan C. Showers shirts, and I'm kind of deeply offended here that we're doing a shirt check and there's no Scream with Ryan C. Showers on display. I am
That's
so
true.
teasing. I'm so
Oh,
teasing.
Jacob, I don't think we received that back.
You would never do that and not tell me. I can't believe that.
You sent it to Woodsboro, right?
Yeah, right. No, I sent it to Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, and I got lost in the mail. So no, I'm just teasing. I just wanted to see like the reaction there. So way to break the ice, right?
I believed you too. That was good. You know, if podcasting doesn't work, go for acting because that was a great performance.
Listen, I am not as fun as you guys. Like I am. So I brought up Hillary Clinton in our previous segment, and like so Kate McKinnon played her on SNL. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is who I am. This is like the style of my show. Whenever like there's a skit where she was like saying like, "Oh, I'm getting ready for bed. I'm going to put on my pajamas," and she takes off her pantsuit and it reveals the same pantsuit underneath. That is me. I'm a very serious person. So whereas you guys have so much fun on your show, you guys are really like, I mean, first of all, I think you guys are very smart, but also just the podcast is very fun and light and like it's just a joy to listen to. Like whenever I listen, I have a smile on my face. I leave like in a good mood, and I think that's something like that's it's something you can't create.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was so
Thank
nice.
you. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is like Tim and I have been friends for 15 years, 17 years, 20 years. And so really like that's just our friendship. Like I think a lot of people think that when you do a show, you're kind of just like putting on a persona, but I feel like if people meet us, we're exactly the same in person. The dynamic, the bad jokes, me being filthy, Tim not, like it just that is us.
No, I think yesterday, I think we had what I guess could be the closest thing as to a fight or something, but we mended it really, really quickly because I have you ever heard the term asshole buddy? I know, but well, it's the only way you could say it. I mean, you could say a-hole buddy, but it's someone that you could say the most horrible things to and know that there's no real truth in it.
That's true, except everything I say to Tim has 100% true. Yeah.
Hopefully
So
that's not
the
true.
most insulting things are usually true.
No, you have a friendship like that. I feel like you can talk to them about anything. And yesterday,
Tim slapped me.
I slapped Matt. No, I'm a victim of identity theft. And it's the only thing on my mind right now because like when that happens, you just feel very violated. But I was telling Matt via text and like he was talking to me about a mouse emoji. And I was like, oh, I am a victim of identity theft. And Matt was like, so where is that emoji that I put? And I was like, he completely glazed over the ID theft.
Yeah.
And then he said, that was very passive aggressive. And I said, you know what? You're right. I was passive aggressive and I apologized.
He told about 50% of that story correctly, but I'll let that stand. But yes, we got over it very quick.
Yeah.
Wait, so did I understand this correctly? Matt did not take Tim's identity being stolen seriously?
No, I mean, this is so ridiculous. I mean, I work during the day, Ryan, and we were trying to post on social media, and I was giving Tim the post, and I was like, hey, did you get this? And then he posted about the identity theft, and there were so many texts, and I was so busy that I missed that one, so I kept going on about the post, and then he's like, did you see my text? And I was like, no, what? And he's like, I had identity theft. I'm like, oh my God, I did not see that. I was really busy today. I apologized, and then called him a bitch, as usual,
Well, what I hear from that, Matt, is a bunch of excuses and not enough empathy for your best friend, Tim. So, Tim,
you.
as it pertains to this, I'm with her, aka Tim. So I do want to share, I do want to share something. Speaking of gifts, right? I got this in the mail from the Happy Horror Time people. So I guess listener, you won't be able to see it, but it is the Total Film magazine with Nev and Courtney and David on the cover in the year 2000. It's the Scream 3 magazine. It was a shock. I was getting something else in the mail from Jacob, and I was not expecting this, and it was just like such an overwhelming thing. Like I love it so much. Thank you. I never always wanted this actually, and I've never really even thought to like go out and like hunt for it. So this was like one of the nicest gifts, most unexpected gifts, and like it just truly warmed my heart. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I was moving and I found it, and I know that you like Scream 3, and I thought, well, it's just sitting here collecting dust. I'm going to give it to a true Scream 3 fans. And plus, I'm bribing you and love bombing you. Have you ever heard the term love bombing?
Many times. And I know sometimes like I actually was talking to Jacob about it today. Right, Jacob? Or was that somebody else? I forget.
Oh, it was me, but it may
Okay.
have been someone else as well because you talked to like 40 people during the whole days.
So I don't have any sympathy for Matt when he's like, I was trying to post on social media and I was working and I was talking at so many texts. Like, I mean, like, no sympathy. Like, I mean, like, I do like the job of 6
Wow.
people.
Coming for me in the first 10 minutes of Scream with Ryan C. Showers.
I
Listen,
know.
you could give him gifts, and then he'll automatically be on your side.
Well, who went to the post office, paid for the postage, got his information information and put that together. Truly. So that gift came from all of us.
So I guess I got to follow the money here and go with Matt because he paid for it. Yeah.
Not the actual footwork.
I did the work.
Just brought it to the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, guys, I want to talk about Happy Horror Time for a little bit. So, how would you guys describe the podcast? And this could be anybody, whoever wants to answer.
Yeah, I'll answer it as the producer, one of the producers, because now our dear friend Paris Mance is co-producing with me. But I would describe the podcast as a horror comedy show. And it's really about Matt and Tim's friendship and their chemistry. And, they don't take themselves too seriously, but they're really smart and really experienced with horror films. And we love reviewing new movies when they come out and talking to people in our interviews from past horror films, current horror films, actors, directors, writers, people who are involved in the business and in the creating of all the horror films that we love. So
I want to say thank you for calling me smart. Thank you. I don't get that often.
It's not true. Tim is very smart. In fact, Tim knows so many random facts related to horror movies that, it's like Tim could be an IMDb page for horror. But the only thing I would add to what Jacob said is, we usually switch off between reviewing new horror films and interviewing people from horror, whether it was past stuff or current filmmakers. And we kind of like that format because we like doing both. We would never want to just do one of them because, we get to talk to people from movies that we grew up loving and from movies we absolutely adore. So it's like a dream come true.
But it always scares me when we use the word review because it's like I'm not like a journalist from the New York Times. I kind of want to call it like a chit chat or a breakdown or I'm like, don't call it review.
yeah, it's like review kind of signals like a critic's review or something.
Yeah.
And, we're not critics. We're just people who love horror movies. So, and
We're fans.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
fans, and we've expanded into being a YouTube channel. So now we're doing horror news commentary videos and we're doing ranking videos and just having a lot of fun with all of that.
Yeah, I love the way that you guys have expanded. I think it's so cool because you guys started out as a podcast and just recently at the beginning of the year, right? Started really posting on YouTube and recording the video and posting it and then doing these other segments like the news segment, which I've always wanted to do a news segment for my show and it never really was able to work out for me until really you guys did it for a couple of weeks. Some things shifted around at the podcast and it finally enabled me to do it. So it's really cool the way that Happy Horror Time has influenced me. Me as a person who's never even talked to Matt and Tim in real life, but just through Jacob, I guess, and just through the product that you guys put out, you guys have influenced my show in small ways and big ways. So I think that's really cool. And I want to implore everybody, listen to them. Their podcast, their main show of the week comes out on Monday. Check them out. Then come to me on Tuesday. Then go listen to their news segment and come back to me on Friday. And we'll just rinse and repeat.
You're saying joint custody between us and you?
I don't see it as that. I see it as just the world of Ryan and Jacob, and I guess Tim and Matt.
I guess too.
That is so nice of you to say because I do like that sense of community. Jacob has mentioned in the past to building a community, which before Jacob said that, I just no one in particular, but I figure sometimes gay guys can be a little bitchy and a little unnecessarily competitive.
Listen, I had a full-on meltdown yesterday that Jacob held my hand through about the cattiness of horror gays content creators in particular. It was something. I sounded like a psychopath, but he got it. He understood what I was saying, and that's what I try to avoid is that cattiness, the weird sense of competition, and I think that there's a fun way to be friends, and I think that Jacob would probably tell you. I say this all the time. I think our friendship is so strong because he produces your show and I have my own show, and I'm the CEO, host and the editor, and I wear so many hats with it. So it's nice to have people who are going through the same things that you go through and that can celebrate your wins with you or that you can track your progress through with you. I send Jacob completely unnecessary updates about random shit about the podcast, so I think it's something really great. So Jacob, do you want to respond?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I'm also so grateful to you because you've really pumped up our show so much. You've inspired me as a producer creator, but you've also been so generous on your show, and you do have a community behind your show that you've built, and you promote us so many times more than anyone else that we know. You don't have to do any of that. And it's just been awesome to become friends with you personally, but then as a creator to share that connection as well. And just the cross promotion is so great. It's been It's been so incredible, and it doesn't go unnoticed at all because when you get out here, you do realize that not everybody who looks like your friend is your friend just because they have a podcast and you have some things in common on the surface. It doesn't mean that everybody's intentions are the same. So it's been so refreshing to meet someone who already had a big show long before we even met. And you've taken the time to give us shout outs and push people toward our shows. So it's wonderful, and we're very, very grateful.
Well, thank you. I don't consider myself a big show, but thank you. And I appreciate everything that you said here. I want to like kind of transition now to go back to your show here, which is like, so first of all, like, I think that like Matt and Tim, first of all, I want to talk about each of them individually. And like, then I want to talk about how I see the show and how the structure of it goes. So first, like, Matt, you are such an effective driver of your show. Like, you are so in control. There are times I listen to you and I'm just like, I have got to step my pussy up because like this, I mean, you are so clear, you have such a direction in the way that you say things. You're funny, you're a natural, you have charisma, you have a crystal clear mission statement with everything that you say and do, and you just kind of charge through and manage the show in a very assured way. In some ways you remind me of me, but then there are other times like I feel like, man, if this is Matt, I need to step my pussy up. This, he's really out, he's running circles around me. So I think that you're an awesome person in terms of just kind of directing your show and kind of keeping control of everything and like, setting the tone, right? So I think that you're awesome.
Thank you. I mean, that means a lot. Like it's funny. We just recorded our after show, which is something we do for patrons of ours, where we just kind of talk about anything. And we were talking about coming on this show, and I was saying how impressed I am by you and your show, and like Jacob said, the community you have built. So to hear that from you means a lot. Thank you. I mean, I think a lot of people, when I used to tell people I did a podcast, I think friends of mine didn't take it seriously because in a way, a lot of people think anyone can do a podcast. Yes, anyone can do a podcast, but that doesn't mean that anyone is a podcaster and anyone is good and effective at what they do. So like, if we can just bring joy to people, get people enjoying what we're saying. Some people have told us like they feel like they're just in the room, like hanging out with us. Like, that's all we really want to do. We want to give people joy, have fun talking about horror. I mean, it's called Happy Horror Time for a reason, like we want to have fun talking about it. But I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Well, and like, it's funny because there are sometimes like I through the podcast and through, just my friendship with Jacob, like I what you just said about like feeling like you're in the room with them or that like that people are friends with you guys like through just as listeners. I think that's absolutely true. And I think that's like an absolute like essential part of your formula. And like, there are times like, if you guys have like the life of like the TV show Friends, right? Like, I kind of wish I was the sixth friend. You have Matt, Tim, Jacob, Paris, and Tom, and then like Ryan wants to be like the Phoebe of the group. I don't know.
Would you be Phoebe? Is that the friend you'd?
No, I'm probably on first look you would say Monica, and I would be like, ooh yeah, Monica, of course, Courtney Cox. But deep down, I'm a Rachel, and Jacob knows this, and Ashley. I'm definitely Rachel. Yeah. Sadly.
Oh, for sure. I definitely thought Monica at the beginning. With time, it has become clearer.
I'm a Monica, 100%.
I can see that for sure. Tim, who are you?
I mean, Joey.
No, I see that with the acting.
I mean, it's always like when I watch Friends, there was a couple episodes where like Chandler helps out Joey, and I thought, and you were talking earlier about Matt, just like steering the ship. There was a huge wake up call for me the other day when I had to do a Jaws ranking just to like, because Matt's like, okay, this is what we're doing. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. But I have not steered the ship since day one. Yeah. So like, it was a huge wake up call. Like, Matt does such a good job. And like, I was like, oh gosh, I totally need help here. So like, you do your own show and obviously you talk to people, but both of you guys do a fantastic job steering the ship because mine would be a Titanic. It would just sink.
Well, okay, pause that, Tim. So I just want to like wrap up this mini Friends discussion. If I guess Jacob is the Phoebe because, #hipster. So we're going to leave that there. Sorry. All right. So Tim, let's talk about you now. Like, whenever I listen to anybody's podcast, I'm listening to like the technical stuff. I'm seeing how you guys approach it, I do as a host and like what's different, and not just your podcast, everybody's podcast. And like, I was kind of like overwhelmed by Matt because he is kind of directing the ship as as we've been saying in this metaphor. But like Tim, I have to say, you are like the secret weapon of the podcast. You are a treasure. Like, I have like just noticed how much like you bring to the show recently. It was with the drop review. I was like, wow, Tim always has something fresh to say. You're never repetitive. It's like, even though you are a very fun, like kind of like, a very fun energy and a fun presence, like there is substance behind what you have to say. And I've really started to notice that. And I just think that you are such like, I think I just get the sense that you're such a good person underneath. And I think it just kind of shines through in your energy. Wow, now I sound like the hipster, but I just think that I think that you're such a joy. Definitely, it's a two-hander, and you couldn't do it any other way other than to have Jacob on your show. But I think that's like I don't know if that's a starter here. So
Yeah, move over, guys. It's my turn for the spotlight.
I'm very comfortable.
I mean, yeah, as you can see, our setup doesn't quite work.
They're sitting close together, but they're a couple, so what up?
Yeah, we're if we weren't a couple, we would be getting to know each other really well.
Well, so I want to just like draw attention because it got completely lost in the weeds with my joke about the shirt, because like you guys each have a Scream shirt on, and I love this. We have what shirt are you guys wearing?
It's a green shirt and it's got Sidney Prescott on it, but it's sort of like a multicolored artistic kind of picture of her, and everywhere I go I get compliments on it because it's just one of those unique shirts. It's her like holding a cell phone.
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to pause the panel here, and I'm going to just draw attention to myself because that's what I do. I also have a Sydney shirt on, but it's in the style of the Eras tour, so it is what it is. I'm always on brand, in terms of mixing Scream and Taylor Swift when no one asked for it except for Ash, so. Okay, so Matt, what's on your shirt?
On my shirt is the lovely, the one and only, the person who doesn't actually exist, Debbie Salt, as in Mrs. Loomis, aka Nancy Loomis, one of the killers from Scream 2. She is my favorite ghost face. She's always been, that reveal has always been important to me. I love Laurie Metcalf, and I love her performance in the movie. And when I found this shirt, I was like, this is so me.
Yeah, I love it. I've seen it. I've seen you in pictures of it before, so I actually predicted that's what you would wear, so I love it. And Tim, what about you?
This is a basic Target shirt, but I'm gonna tell you that it's Emma Roberts under the ghost face mask.
Excellent.
Of course. I don't want to downplay Jacob's contribution to the podcast because, like, Jacob, as our producer and for the producer from day one, he's the person that people don't get to hear in every episode, but he's so integral to everything we've done.
Yeah.
He helps us come up with ideas. He's basically come up with like our whole social media strategy. He got us onto YouTube. He's the one who just gives us the direction that we need. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing before Jacob helped us with everything. So like Jacob is definitely the brains behind so much of this podcast, and it wouldn't have gotten to where it was without Jacob.
I agree. I think I have like, I mean, I know all this just because like, I hear what our conversations and like, the approach, but like his contributions, and like, I see him as like the director of the podcast almost in a way. I don't know. A producer seems like, I don't know. It's just like the amount of energy that Jacob puts into the podcast, I think, goes unnoticed, but it's so there. Like, Jacob, it's an equal threesome. That's why I wanted all three of you on here, not just Matt and Tim. That would have felt wrong to me, to have my friend who is so important to the Happy Horror Time not be here. So,
Well, thank you, everybody. You're right. I'm so wonderful. No, but seriously, thank you for saying all of that. I appreciate it.
okay, so let's move on, guys. So you guys, you do film reviews, but then you also have like these interviews that you do with people, and like you've had some really bangers, right? Most recently, Julie Benz, who was Darla on Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, but also, my gosh, like every time I say this man's name now, I just kind of get emotional. Like Kevin Williamson. Oh my gosh, you guys had him on your podcast, 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. What was it?
2 years, almost 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago, yeah.
Does it feel like 2 years since he's been on?
No, not at all. In fact, when we think, sometimes we just reflect on past episodes or past interviews, and yeah, the years have gone by so quickly. It's just unbelievable that we're hitting the summer of 2025 because we had him on at the very end of the summer of 2023. Yeah.
Did you guys just like, so everybody go listen to that episode for real? Like that, I mean, given the circumstances of Scream right now, I think that listening to Kevin being able to like have a free form with guys like, Matt and Tim, it's just so cool. So, but, were you guys cognizant or aware of the possibility that he could be the director of Scream 7 or driving the ship in the way that he is now, back then? Like, was it ever even on your mind that potentially Kevin could be even more important to Scream in the future than he was in the past?
Absolutely not. Going back, like when I first moved to New York City, I saw Kevin Williamson and I thought I would love to talk to him someday. And so it's just a weird thing to think about, to cutting to today, like having to spend a good hour with them.
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half with
yeah.
them. So that was like such a full circle moment. I was just like, oh, that'd be nice to sit down and talk to him. And then especially after, all the sequels of Scream and like teaching Mrs. Tingle, so it's a real moment that I pinch myself.
I was so nervous before that interview, Ryan. And the biggest thing was, we're talking to someone who's been an idol of mine since I was a teenager. And the toughest thing was actually coming up with questions that could encompass his entire career and fit into a time slot that wouldn't make him how long is this going to go? Like trying to get through the entire Scream series. I Know What You Did Last Summer, The Faculty, Halloween H2O, which is so important to me. So much of what he's done is so important. And we could have filled 4 hours of time, but we were cognizant that, we only could have him for a certain amount of time. But that was the toughest part because there's no shortage of stuff to talk about with him.
But I really don't think we had any inkling at all that he would end up becoming director for Scream 7. I mean, yeah.
To be honest, I don't think he did at that time,
Yeah.
to be completely honest, because things were not going in that direction. No one could have foreseen what ended up happening and all the drama, but he was always going to be involved. Like we knew that. He would always be producing or somehow. Directing? No, we had no idea.
So, I just have to say, like, since we're on the topic of Kevin, like, isn't it just so cool to be like, the fact that like we're heading into like a new era of Scream, the Kevin Williamson era of Scream. Like we had the Craven era, we had the Radio Silence era, and now we're having the Williamson era. To get like existential in a way, like once we see Scream 7, once we see a trailer for Scream 7, we're in the era. We're still on the outside, and like we have no idea what's on the other side of that door. And if it is, the best sequel, in the franchise, like that is going to be sensational. And we're about to enter this whole new thing, and Kevin is at the helm. Not only Kevin, but of course Nev, and Nev is the main character again. And like this, it just feels like we are, I don't know, for me, this is where Scream belongs, and it just fills me with so much hope and joy and emotion and happiness. I'm just so excited for it. What about you guys?
Yeah. I mean, the one thing we know with 100% certainty about Kevin Williamson is that he knows what the Scream fans want. He knows why people fell in love with the first couple movies. I mean, he wrote them, he came up with them. He knows Neve Campbell very well. He knows how to treat characters very well. I am so excited because the series is in the right hands, I think, and it's in a way like I only feel like no one else but him could make a Neve Campbell centered Scream sequel that could stand up to the original films. Like who else could do that? Only him. So I have full faith in him.
I agree with everything Matt said, but I also want to add that if you watch the movie Sick, I love it because he paid a homage. I always say that word wrong. Of Mrs. Voorhees being like I just gave away the ending of Sick. Anyway.
So Ashley, my producer Ashley, is very, very sensitive about spoilers, like even for a movie that came out 40 years ago. So I mean, this is tragic right here.
Oh my God, Ashley,
to forgive me.
We spoil everything on our podcast, so it's tough for us to not.
Have I not told you guys? When you get outside of our podcast in the real world out here, like you can't just spoil things.
This is Ashley's villain origin story.
I mean, I haven't been able to watch it because it's not available here, so it's okay. I'm honestly not upset.
Oh
I'm getting more annoyed with Ryan because he knows.
Well, I mean, you in a way you didn't get you. We'll
I'll
put
forget.
Together. Yes. Thank you.
Well, Sick is amazing, and like honestly, before like I kind of in the back of my head, like actually I made a post on New Year's Eve, that I posted like Nev, Kevin, and Courtney, and that picture of them that's iconic on the Scream 5 set, and I said Kevin could be the director of Scream 7. He should be. This is actually a really great thing. And then a few months later, he was announced. But I was actually thinking John Himes would be, if we couldn't get Kevin right, I guess John Himes would have been my pick because that movie is so well directed. It has the seriousness that a lot of horror movies don't have these days. So Final Destination Bloodlines came out a couple of weeks ago. But at the time we're recording, I'm the only one of us that's seen it so far, and it reminded me so much of why we need someone like Kevin Williamson to come in and kind of like bring the seriousness back to the horror movies that that we love. Like, I just think it's too comedic, and I think this is part of like a pattern at horror at large. And I mean, I'm all for comedy whenever it's necessary and whenever it's important, but like, I think that is also something that Kevin is going to really bring is the drama back to Scream, which is so cool. So, okay, guys, before we go, we need to, we're an hour into the podcast and I haven't even gotten your fucking rankings yet. So Ryan needs to get back on track here. So, but the last thing I want to say about Happy Horror Time, is you guys not only do these interviews of like people like Kevin Williamson and Julie Benz, but like I feel like you guys capture a lot of people from the 80s, like from the Nightmare sequels, from the Friday the 13th sequels. And I think that's so cool. I think it's really cool because it defines your brand. And like Jacob, he loves Nightmare on Elm Street. Matt is a Halloween guy. Tim is Friday the 13th. So there is something, I think it's a really smart marketing point of view. I think it's in terms of just helping define what Happy Horror Time is, this kind of like ease thing. I don't know. What do you, what are your thoughts?
I mean, as a man of a certain age, I think I'm the oldest person here. Sometimes I get random when they slide into my DMs, as they say. That's what they say.
Tell me more.
Well, anyway, they'll say like, "Oh, I really enjoyed that episode with who was the guy that we got
Peter Bart.
Peter Barton's a big one, but another one is the guy that I got this from The Initiation.
Christopher
Yes, Christopher Bradley. A lot of interest in Christopher Bradley because like apparently he was naked in a film. So a lot of people still follow him to this day. And like we interviewed him. Of course, we talked about The Initiation, but I love that it's such a niche thing to talk about The Initiation. It's not, I mean, Daphne Zuniga's in it from Melrose Place, but there is a audience out there that talks about these old films, and I'm glad that we find these people and we get to they get a platform to talk about something the film's 40 years old.
Yeah, and there's really a historical aspect to us doing that because the interviews, the way that they're designed, and Matt really is in charge of that, is that they're timeless pretty much. So you can listen to it years later and it doesn't feel dated to any particular time, but it is going back in history, and the focus is on the people that we're interviewing and their history.
And we're slasher guys. I mean, like you said, we each Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th. Like, we are slasher guys. We don't pretend to be anything but. Not saying we don't appreciate all genres of horror, because we do, but like, we grew up with these slashers. They've had such an effect on us. And we try to, the perspective we take with these interviews is just a fan's perspective. What would a true fan want to know? Just want to know what it was like to do this at this point with this person on this time, that kind of thing. So we try to think about, we've seen these movies a million times. What are the things that went through our heads while watching them? And we ask those questions to the people.
Yeah. Well, and it shows. I mean, and I think that everything you guys said is, yes, I agree 1000%. I just, just to wrap up like the conversation of your podcast before we move on to Scream, more, forcefully, is like I really appreciate the hustle that you guys have, because like I know so well, all too well, that the time and the passion and dedication it takes to do your own independent show. It's not, a lot of people, I think Matt was saying this earlier, like a lot of people think that anybody can do a podcast, and that is so not true. I mean, like my life, it kind of revolves around my podcast and my job. Like it's a huge part of my life. But like at the same time, like I can't imagine having my life without it now. You know what I mean? And I feel like you guys are the same way. And just like kind of my conversations with Jacob most days, like I know I see the hustle that you guys have. It's not, like the, oh my God, guys, let's make a podcast. Like it's like, it's serious. And I respect that. And I think it's a conviction that we share.
Thank you. That means a lot, because it's true. It's like, if we put so much time into this, that if we weren't taking it seriously, then we'd be wasting our time, So like, I think even some of our friends and family members don't quite understand how much it's almost like a second job, but like we do it because we love it. It still is, even though it's a business, it's still a passion project, because we would be passionate about these types of films, whether we were doing this podcast or not. We just choose to do the podcast and have a great time doing it.
I feel that. And like, for instance, like I said this like a couple of times on the podcast, but like people have asked me like, how did you even think to like do a Scream podcast? Like what, but like I've been having all of these topics that I do, all these deep like analytical things and like these cool ideas I do with Scream. Like I've been having these conversations in my head since I was, in elementary school about Scream. So it's just like, it's always been there. It always will be there. So it's just fun to be able to have the creative, like, the drive to, and platform to do it. So, but yeah, you guys are awesome. So, okay, let's do this now. Scream rankings. Okay, we're gonna do. Well, let's start with Jacob first.
Oh my gosh. So
my
my
gosh.
Scream I've never done this before. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so many inside jokes between us. It's hard to stay on track. But okay, so my current Scream ranking, it has changed, I believe, since the past episode where I gave you my ranking. I believe now that it is 2 is my favorite, and then it's Scream 3, Scream 1, Scream 4, Scream 5, then Scream 6.
I knew that must have been tough for you right there, Jacob. Wow.
It was hard for it to even it was terribly, terribly tough, but you have influenced me. Your show has affected me.
I've also bullied you. I mean, about Scream 5 and 6. Like, Scream 5 is the better movie, Jacob, objectively. Anyways, I apologize. But you're like, but 6 is Dancing in the Rubble. Oh, okay.
I can't. Yeah, you're never gonna let that comment go, are you?
It was a
yes,
good
I
comment.
said Scream 6 is Dancing in the Rubble because Scream 5 created a destruction, a destructed mess. That was my view at the time when I said that. So
Okay. All right. Let's go now to Matt. Matt, what is your Scream ranking?
Well, I mean, it's like I feel afraid to do this because, I think, well, you're gonna side way more with Tim and
I've
even
already
Jacob,
sided
but
with them, so it's okay.
Okay, I need to be true to myself, and so Scream 2 is my favorite. Scream 1 is second. Scream 4 is third. This is a big deal though, because Scream 3 is fourth.
Oh wow!
It used to be last. It used to be last. Then comes Scream 6 and Scream 5 last. I'll tell you why Scream 3 rose from last to fourth. We just did an audio commentary where we watched it and we're talking throughout. It's a new thing that we're doing on Patreon, and I just forgot how much fun I have with Scream 3, and even though I think it's hokey, I have a lot of more fun with it than Scream 5 and Scream 6, and I realized that I'm not itching to rewatch Scream 5 and 6 as much as Part 3, so it kind of rose up in my ranking. So that's a new development, Ryan.
That's very nice. That's kind of made my night. I've actually, I mean, I won't lie. I'm not shocked because, you told me whenever we first kind of met each other, in our group chat, one of my 98 group chats, you gave me your ranking, and 6 and 3 were flopped, and I was like, I bet he's gonna change this by the time he comes on my show. And I did listen to the commentary. I thought you guys did a really nice job, and I think that's, I think it's nice, and I really appreciate what you had to say about Sydney in the Stab 3 set. But I think you were too hard on Mark Kincaid. Anyways, that was.
I can't even remember what I said about Mark Kincaid. I know we dragged Parker Posey, even though we love her. The funny thing is we love her, but yeah. But I don't remember. What did I say about Mark Kincaid?
I don't remember one thing I said.
Well, I guess you're gonna have to find out, bitch. I'm sorry. No,
never listen to myself.
So, I'm just teasing, but basically you kind of made fun of the line delivery because, so Sydney and Kincaid in the police station is religious to me. It's one of my favorite scenes, and it's so important for Sydney's character development. I think it's such an adult scene, and you guys roasted the way that he leans in and says "my life."
I'm so sorry, but I
okay.
totally stand by that.
Tim, hit me with your ranking.
3, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, good. So I actually was talking to Jacob today. I said, has Tim made his ranking? And I said, well, if not, I'm going to assign him a ranking just based off of your vibe, which, so this is
sick.
Definitely not 6. I can honestly say I've only seen parts 5 and 6 twice each.
Because they just don't have a very high rewatch factor.
Right. I mean, just because, and they were all in the theater. I don't think I've never watched them just on a small TV.
Oh, wow. Are you going to watch it before Scream 7?
Yes, I think.
Are you kidding? We're going to be watching
my memory.
We're going to watch 1 through 6 in a row. Are you kidding?
Well, I figured there was going to be a celebration of Ryan C. Showers by turning on Scream 6 after we were done.
Definitely the way to honor you, isn't it?
I'm going to only dance around to the very final song of the film.
Demi Lovato.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I actually kind of like that song.
It's a cute song.
Jacob and I also talked about that today, and I think we'll just leave that there. No comment. So let's talk about Scream stories. So we already heard Jacob's Scream story. Tim, let's start with Tim for this one. What is your Scream story? What does Scream mean to you? What's your history with Scream? What do you want to say?
Well, I graduated from high school, so it was like December '96, obviously, and so I remember going to the theater with my friends, and I remember Drew Barrymore on the poster, and I thought, oh, but I do remember being very uncomfortable during the opening because I honestly, and what actually happened in the sequel, there would be copycat killers. Like I actually was sitting there, like I don't want people to prank me. I don't. Just the very opening was very effective, and I remember we didn't have the internet, or if we did, I didn't have it in '96. So I remember going to video stores like Barnes and Noble and a library, and I think I've told you this story. And there was an article where that was in a magazine. Do you remember the magazine Cinematistic?
I
don't.
Okay. So like they had all these like beautiful colored photos and everything. And I remember I just stole it. I stole it from the library. Anyways,
Wow,
and so
Winona.
Right? A total Winona Ryder. But I loved just anything to get my hands on anything Scream related when it first came out. And then of course, when I was in New York when the third one came out. And then I loved the fourth one. I think I saw the fourth one in the theater like a good 4 times. Yeah. So my Scream infatuation, is that the right word?
Mhm.
Yeah. Has been since it opened in December 20th, 1996.
Well, so Tim, I'm actually very surprised. Like so my predicted ranking, the ranking I was going to give you if you came in and said, "Oh, I forgot we were supposed to do a ranking," was going to be 3, 1, 4, 2, 5, 6. So I'm actually kind of surprised that you put 2 over 4. I thought you seem like a Scream 4 kind of person.
I do love Scream 4 for sure, but I do like the whole the reason I picked 2 is because I love the Dewey and Gail inside the college. I love the whole college settings.
Right.
Thank you. That chase scene inside like the editing studio is amazing. I love it.
Ryan, you know how you get very like defensive over Scream 3? That's how I feel about Scream 2. Anytime anyone says anything that isn't incredibly positive about Scream 2, I like feel this need to defend it. Like, I don't know why I've become this like huge, like everything for Scream 2. It's so bizarre. I don't know why, but like Scream 2 is like everything to me.
That's awesome. So hold on, before we get to your Scream story, Tim, do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I just remember the uncomfortableness of Scream 1 and 2 sitting in the theater. I like to touch Matt. No, but I do remember when I saw Scream 2, I was very uncomfortable because I thought there'd be a killer inside, like the way Jada Pinkett was killed. Like I was just genuinely uncomfortable. And when I saw it again, I didn't want to be killed.
Okay. Yeah,
so
I
that's
agree.
all.
So all right, Matt, let's go back to you. So Scream 2. I also love Scream 2. Like for me, I am like a Scream 1 can kind of be its own thing, but like for me, the reason why I love the original trilogy so much is because of like what Wes Craven, like his signature on the franchise and what he did in basically Scream 2 to Scream 3 in terms of like making Dewey and Gale more important, making, building Sydney's arc. And like, so for me, like Scream 2 and 3 are so tied together in a Wes Craven way. So I also would be defensive about Scream 2, and I did a survey of like my Patreons and what their number one movie of the franchise was, and Scream 2 came out on top. It was very close between all 3 of the first 3 movies, but the fact that Scream 2 came out on top made sense to me based off of like my coverage and like the audience. But so let's rewind. And what is your Scream story?
I was a senior in high school. The very first time I went to see Scream was with my parents, was a horror fan, didn't know what it was all about, went in there, was so terrified during the Drew Barrymore scene, was shocked that she got killed. Spoiler alert. Loved that movie so much that I then went back twice during Christmas break, brought all of my friends. And then proceeding in the next few months, every time we'd go to see another movie, after the movie was done, we would sneak into Scream to watch it. I went 7 times to see
Nice.
Scream in the movie theater. After Scream, I became a little obsessed with it, a little crazy with it. I would call my friends, do the Scream voice. I bought the costume. When I went to college, I would run through the dorm floors wearing the Ghostface costume and scare all the girls. And, this little gay guy that didn't know he was gay, thinking that like he was impressing the girls, but I knew, yeah. When Scream 2 came out, I was planning on going with all my high school friends. I was coming back from college. We went to see Scream 2. I absolutely loved it. Loved the twist. I ended up just becoming so attached to the Scream series that like I would make parodies with my friends, like VHS parodies of it. We've done Scream 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're filthy and horrible parodies, but like they're hilarious. And that's just because my friends and I loved Scream so much. And just growing up, like Scream 3, I was in London for the semester of college when it came out, but like opening night, I took all of my like London student friends to go see it. Scream 4, we had a big screening and everything, and it's just held such like an important place in my heart. But like the first two movies especially, I was obsessed with, and I was a crazy little high school / college kid that was obsessed with them.
I love that. And I love that like it's been something that's kind of carried through your life. And like it's so cool. I'm kind of jealous of the people who got to live Scream in the 90s like you two did. So I think that's so cool.
Can I ask what Scream you got to see in the theaters for the like cuz you're
What was the first one? 4.
Scream 4. I've seen, so by the time that this comes out, I will have seen all of the Scream movies in theaters except for Scream 3, the one that matters most to me. So one day it will happen. So, because like I'm actually attending an event next week where I get to see Scream 2 in theaters, which is fun. Yeah. But, yeah, so I got to see Scream 4 for the first time in theaters. That was my first Scream experience. Yeah.
I've been in your shoes when it was Friday the 13th.
Halloween
Yeah.
for me, not being able to like, not being alive when it came out, but
And Matt, just to, so I'm a huge H2O person, and I would love to have you on for a Hallow Scream segment to do to talk about H2O. Just so you know.
totally. Oh my
He
God.
knows it by heart.
H2O, are you kidding? Like that was another one. I hit at that time. Halloween was everything to me, but then Scream became so important that it was like, oh my God, am I cheating on Halloween?
So they released it in August.
Yeah, but then Halloween H2O came out. I was like, oh my God, this is like the Scream version of Halloween. So it was like everything.
Also, I want to just point out, like one thing about the Scream 3 audio commentary, the fact that you were able to spot the reshot footage of like the finale where you have like the hair lengths and like the sideburns. I was stunned by. I was just like, BTF. Like, I mean, I know this because I am a nut about Scream 3. And like, I just know, because then he was just able to spot it. Oh, look, that's different than from that. I'm just like, what is this? This is like a superpower.
I don't know where it came from, but especially watching Matt's movie Halloween, like he made it. Watching Halloween with Matt, like if you watch Laurie Strode's hair, Jamie Lee Curtis's hair, in all of Halloween, it changes constantly. And I don't know, I become weird about continuity. I don't know where that comes from.
And wigs, he always spots a good wig.
Especially like we were watching Jagged Edge and like Glenn Close's hair suddenly got really full and really blonde when she was on a horse.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a stunt woman. That's a stunt woman.
Very observant. Like this is like shocking, So
My only skill.
yeah, but and one thing I'll say about the Scream 3 audio commentary, because like, and I actually really like, it's funny because that came out like a week before my audio commentary, before I was supposed to do my audio commentary, my first one for the craft. So I was using you guys as like a test subject to like see like things I can improve on, because I was really scared to start doing audio commentaries, but you guys did such a great job, and I was kind of like picking up like tips and stuff. But the thing that Matt, I wanted to just bring up, your commentary about Jennifer Jolie was so interesting to me because people complain about the comedy in Scream 3, but they praise her. And it's like, how do you reckon the two? Because she is the comedy in Scream 3, So you actually made me think about something about my favorite movie that I've seen like literally 800 times in a way that I've never thought about before. And I would like to actually investigate on the show down the road. So thank you for that.
Wow. Well, first off, that was well, thank you for even like looking to us for tips for audio commentaries.
We were exhausted doing that. Like when we were done, I was like, I felt like I just ran a marathon.
Oh, just imagine doing it by yourself, because like talking
that's what I'm
straight
saying.
through.
Like,
Oh no,
Technically it was the second audio commentary they've done, but the first one in a while.
Yeah.
We did Black Christmas 2006.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
But it's been so long that I forgot that we had ever done audio commentaries. I mean, it's the type of thing, though. Do you know, Ryan? And this is the crazy part. We had our 200th episode. We did a poll and Scream 1 across like all decades, and we did Scream for that one.
Mhm.
And then we did this audio commentary for Scream 3, but we have yet to dedicate an episode to Scream 2 yet. And we are saving that because I am going to have a field day with it.
Well, awesome. I hope that it's everything you want it to be.
I'll be crazy. Like during our Halloween episode, remember how you're like, calm down, man.
It's like, I mean, I get it. I don't want to, like, we were just talking before we came on with you. I don't want to yuck someone's yum. So if I do that, I'm not being a bitch.
I agree. Like, that's the thing. Like, I wish everyone would stop being so sensitive. And like, I say this as somebody who has been out of shape about like, making fun of a line of dialogue that Patrick Dempsey did a couple of minutes ago. But like, I just think that we should be comfortable with other people's opinions. And like, this is actually like kind of a hallmark of my friendship with Jacob is like, kind of confronting confronting certain learn things about opinions. And like Jacob kind of like really helped me get comfortable in like talking about this in terms of like, yeah, like we shouldn't be so bent out of shape because somebody said that they don't like Scream 5. You know, people are allowed to not like Scream 5. People are allowed to like not like Scream 6. You know, so I think that's just something that I wish more people practiced that grace. But yeah. Okay, guys, let's hit the speed round, please. Sydney, Gail, or Ty?
Sydney.
Gail.
Sydney.
Okay, cool. Sam or Tara?
Tara.
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 Interesting. Wow. I'm shocked. This is like the first time like Sam is if I was answering, I would have picked Sam. So I'll give Sam her due there. So okay, Dewey or Chad?
Dewey.
Dewey.
Yeah. All right. So this is an interesting one. Favorite movie buff across the franchise. It can be anybody.
Randy.
Kirby.
For me, I'm going to say Sarah Michelle Gellar in Cece in number 2, because she is in that class, and I'm assuming she knows a lot more than the few lines that she was given. So
Yes, and Jacob would be correct. So favorite killer.
Mrs. Loomis by a mile.
I'm kind of curious, like, so why Mrs. Loomis?
So part of it is because I thought the reveal was so well done because, like, yes, it was a surprise, but it perfectly worked with the script of Scream 1. Like, he tells her that his mom left because her mom slept with his dad. So bringing the mom into part 2, getting revenge, it wasn't like it was just a surprise for surprise sake. Like, they laid the foundation for that in Scream 1.
Yeah.
In addition, the fact that no one saw it coming, and in addition to that, Laurie Metcalf's performance of being like batshit crazy was just so incredible. So all that put together makes her my favorite killer by far.
Yeah. And it makes sense as a Scream 2 person. So, you know, I think it's great. Tim?
I mean, I am a Scream fan, but their names escape me at this moment. But I like Emma Roberts and Honora.
Jill. Oh my God.
I thought you said Emma Roberts in Honora. I'm like, I missed that.
Yeah.
Jill and Amber.
Thank you, Matt.
Tim has Jill vibes, so I'm not surprised at all by this. So we like it.
Crazy.
Thank you.
I was a little surprised to hear Tim say Amber.
Me too.
For me, it's the same for me with Matt. Laurie Metcalf as Mrs. Loomis. And I think just because Laurie Metcalf herself is so seasoned as a performer, she brings next level acting chops to her role, and I just really admire her and her take on that.
Yeah.
She's hilarious.
She's terrifying though in that role, like in a good way though. Like she played it how you would want it to be.
Yeah, I like any girl flying over a kitchen counter. I will always love that, no matter
Yeah.
what the film.
I just like that you said Emma Roberts and Honora.
I can't remember her name. I don't know it.
Wow. So I think I've just caught on to something. So if, God willing, Jacob and Matt ever get married, I think Laurie Metcalf should be the officiant.
If only.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
I would, so that's tough because Jamie Lee Curtis is like my OG, but like Laurie Metcalf in that white suit from
Yes.
Scream 2 would be perfect.
I was just about to say she has to wear it's called a makeover suit. So
And the same haircut. Like we went the whole.
Yes. And I want the eyeliner around her eyes just as big so that like her eyes can be just as
As they pop.
Okay. So we got everybody for killer. So favorite opening and favorite finale. Matt?
That is so tough. Can I give you the top 2 or no? It has to be just one.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite opening would be Scream 1, then Scream 4. I love that movie within a movie within a movie. It's so ridiculous, but I love it every time I watch it. Favorite finale? I mean, Scream 2, of course. Just Scream 2, sorry.
I would say the original, obviously, for the opening. And then I really, as we were talking, I really like Scream 5's ending when all 3 of the girls are fighting in the kitchen. Everything's flip-flopping for me right now.
Honora.
We're seeing Scream 5 raise in Tim's Scream ranking, which is interesting. So, and Jacob?
no, my favorite opening is Scream 2. Love Jada Pinkett in that role. And my favorite finale is also Scream 2. I know, pretty typical of me.
And so sometimes I say like Scream 2 is kind of like the artsy fartsy hipster movie. And I think Jacob just proved my point. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, no, but you knew you knew.
I know.
I would probably say that, and that's why no one can see the look on your face, but you didn't look impressed. So
I saw the look on your face when I said Scream 4's opening, and let me tell you, listeners, it was not good.
Listen, I was just surprised, okay? But no, I love the Scream 2 opening, Scream 2 finale. I like the Scream 4 opening. We're all good here, folks. We're all good. Okay, so what is your favorite overall scene in the movie? In any of the movies? Matt?
My favorite overall scene is the car scene in Scream 2 where Sydney Sidney and Hallie have to crawl over Ghostface, I remember the way I felt, like that visceral reaction in the theater, being so on edge. Like literally, when they say on the edge of your seat, like I was watching that for the first time. It was so suspenseful, and I just loved it.
I think the scene that stands out for me in the entire series, because I was so pissed, is when Parker Posey gets killed and she goes, "You can't kill me." Like she's trying to talk her way out of getting killed, and like all the gunshots are happening, and then like she falls out, and then Courtney Cox screams. I like that whole scene. I think it's very strong.
And that's, if someone had to ask me my favorite death scene, I would say that one, because I mean, Casey Becker, obvious, and also Maureen Evans, obvious. And like honestly, I love Wes Craven's magic in that scene. Like, in terms of like filmmaking, the film editing, the sound effects, the back and forth, the intelligence about like what the two-way mirror means in that bedroom, right? And it's just such a cool death. It's Scream 3 has tamer deaths, but I think that is such a cool and inventive death for Scream 3. So I love that, Tim.
My favorite scene is actually in Scream 3, and it's where Neve Campbell is playing Sidney Prescott, who is kind of playing Laura, because I think the complexities of that, she's playing that and she gets the phone call from the voice of her dead mother, who's pretending not to be her dead mother, Maureen Prescott. So the way that's written and performed by Neve Campbell, it has such wonderful layers to it, and I think it's just such a chilling, impressive scene. I've always been haunted by it.
Love it. Love it. So, okay, we're going to end with what is your favorite thing about Scream? So, Matt?
Wow, God, that is such a tough question. I think I would say, God, there's so many aspects. Probably the writing, to be honest. It's just so smart and well done, and the way they can make references to horror while they're being in a horror movie and it still feel fresh throughout. I just have always found that to be so just impressive, because so many people have tried to do the meta things since then and past them, but like no one can quite capture, especially the first few movies, like the way they can kind of have a joke within a joke related to horror, and it's just very impressive. I mean, yes, there's great suspense scenes, great killer reveals, great characters, but there's other horror movies that have done that. Where for me, Scream has excelled the most is in that smart writing.
All right. Well, so Matt, where all can they find you online besides, of course, at Happy Horror Time?
Oh, you mean people want to find just me? I'm on Instagram and Facebook and X at, Instagram mostly. It'd probably be Maddie Brooks 116, but most of the social media I do is through Happy Horror Time, just because like I'm not that big on social media for myself, but for the podcast, I love doing it.
Cool. Tim, what is your favorite thing about Scream?
Just the coolness factor, just how like it's not limiting, because Friday 13th and Halloween and stuff like that, it's like but I think Scream has a mass appeal. It has like a big blanket of like anyone can go see it and enjoy it. So I think the coolness factor for me, it's slick, it's fun. And then to reach me, the Tim Murdock everything, it's everywhere.
And Tim has he's like also talented at TikToking, so follow Tim on TikTok. Wow, that's fun to say. Tim on TikTok. That should be your screen name.
And OnlyFans.
No, I'm on OnlyFans, but I keep my clothes on.
All right, and Jacob, what's your favorite thing about Scream?
I think it's become clear to me with time and with listening to your podcast that it really is, it's the characters of Sidney Prescott and Gale Weathers, those two, and Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox, and the way that they play the roles. I think there's something across all the films, with the exception of Sidney not being in Scream 6, their partnership and the two of them, it really transcends. And so for me, it's the two of them.
Awesome. So, all right, folks, please follow Happy Horror Time on all of the podcast apps. Find them on YouTube, subscribe. They're on Patreon. Anything else you want to plug that I'm missing?
I do just want to say that, Ryan, we are planning on having you on Happy Horror Time in July for our review of I Know What You Did Last Summer, and that seems like a perfectly fitting thing to do, and we can't wait to have you.
I agree.
Great.
Yeah. So thank you guys for the invite. I will absolutely be there. Hi, Jacob.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Jacob.
Hi.
So, Jacob, oh my gosh, tell everybody who you are.
Well, I'm Jacob Randall. I'm the producer, one of the two producers, actually, for the Happy Horror Time podcast / YouTube channel. You've probably heard me on episode 175 and a handful of others since then. And I'm just happy to be back.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to have you. So this is like so fun to like whenever we can do like the Taylor Swift song with other people. I mean, I love doing it just me and Ash, but like it's also just be like, oh, this is different and interesting because Taylor Taylor is something that I talk about often on the show, outside the show, and Jacob is the beneficiary of a lot of my outside of the show talk about Taylor Swift. So you're welcome, Jacob.
Yeah, it's a little funny because of all the things that you do on this show and the times that I've been on the show, it's like the Taylor Swift thing makes me the most nervous for some reason. I don't know why, but it's like it's the one thing that I've been thinking about it all day. So
I forgot you did Long Live. That's right. You did a really good job on that episode.
yeah, well, we'll see if I can measure up because the song you've chosen for today is definitely different than Long Live.
The song I chose, Jacob, can we flash back to when this song was chosen? I wanted to do your favorite song, Fresh Off the Slammer, but that was considered a little too heavy to represent your podcast for this episode, which is Happy Horror Time with Ryan C. Showers, right? So we were like, oh, let's do something fun. And we were like, oh, Cruel Summer, that's fun. But is it? That's the question that we are answering here today. So do you remember that conversation?
I do now that you're saying that, because you know that I really like Fresh Out the Slammer. It's one of my favorite songs by Taylor Swift, but I was kind of like, I don't know if that really fits with Happy Horror Time or with Matt and Tim and the co-hosts of the podcast and what we're doing today. But, we probably could have made it work. But, as you said, Cruel Summer, not necessarily happy either. Although I was thinking with that, the title feels happy and the sound of the song feels happy. Maybe not so much lyrically, but we'll get into it.
Right. I mean, I think that you nailed it right there. But so this is the very first episode of June. So in my mind, it's the first episode of summer. Specifically, I wanted to have Happy Horror Time, which is Matt and Tim. They're the hosts that are also guests on this episode with Ashley and Jacob, who are also in the other segment. And I wanted to represent summer because, both with the Taylor Swift song, but also with them because they're super fun and joyful and happy on their show. I mean, their show's literally called Happy Horror Time. Okay, they are very you walk away from that show with a smile on your face. You walk away from this show sometimes needing tissues. I don't know. So I wanted to express oh, this is fun. We're starting summer. This is warm. Because I live in the Northeast where it's cold. So it's just that transition back to warm. So that was my vibe of all this. So I don't know. Jacob, did that translate here with the selection?
Yeah, I think it translates. It translates in multiple ways that we could talk about if we want to. I just think that the immediate thing that goes to my mind is, Happy Horror Time. We talk so much about different movies, especially horror films from the 80s. And then I thought, oh, that 80s song by Bananarama, Cruel Summer, and then, Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift, and my mind jumped from one thing to another. But really, the song that we're doing is fun. It does have an energy about it that's sort of upbeat and celebratory, even though in the words it is more talking about a summer romance that is kind of both good and bad, or sort of, you get the positive and the negative through the words. So, but yeah, I think it translates.
Well, good. I'm glad that the hipster here approves, because so a listener, I joke around because when Jacob and I first became friends, and I need to introduce Ashley, so I'm gonna wrap this up, I promise, and then I need to say hello to Ash. But so whenever Jacob and I became friends, I kind of jokingly called him a hipster, and it's come back full circle recently because I Googled hipster just to be funny one day in one of our conversations. And there was a book that came up that said how to spot a hipster. And it described they had a tall man with dark hair, glasses, facial hair, and he was holding a Stevie Nicks album or Fleetwood Mac, a vinyl. And Jacob is known for, to be tall, dark hair, facial hair, glasses, and he likes Fleetwood Mac, and he's been trying to get me into Stevie Nicks. So, I mean, it's check, hashtag hipster.
I know, I sound so generically hipster, and I was telling you how there was a time in my life in my early 20s when I thought hipsters were cool and I kind of wanted to be one. I don't feel that way now, and yet here I've arrived, full hipster right in front of you.
Exactly. So. Everybody, please welcome my wonderful producer, whom I just I buried the lead here with you. I'm sorry, Ash. Welcome.
Thank you so much. That was fun to listen to.
I did not. So, the song, the other song on Lover that comes before Cruel Summer is I Forgot You Existed, and I did not forget you exist.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you didn't, because you can literally see me, so that would be embarrassing.
Oh my gosh. Well, so Ash, so tell us about Cruel Summer.
So Cruel Summer is track 2 on Lover. This song and album came out in 2019. It was produced by Taylor and Jack Antonoff and written by Taylor, Jack, and St. Vincent. Yeah, like Jacob said, this song is kind of talking about a relationship, trying to figure out where it's going, the good and the bad, and how a love can also be cruel at the same time of trying to figure out what's going on. And the fun thing about this song is that it was a single, but it didn't peak very high on the Billboard Hot 100. I mean, it did for Billboard Hot 100, but it wasn't like a number one hit. But it ended up going number one in the summer of 2023, I believe it was, because of the Eras Tour. And this is one of the songs that opens up the Eras Tour. And when I hear the bridge to this song, I hear Taylor sing, she says, like, if you know the bridge to this song, sing it really loud. And it's like the opening song. And you guys, the entire crowd goes insane and sings every single word to a T so loud, which could be up to 100,000 people, depending on like what show you're at. And it is so incredibly fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this song. It's there are some sexy moments in the song, some references to some sexual positions, which I think is fun because people always say that Taylor Swift doesn't sing about anything like sexy, which I disagree with personally. But I think this song is super fun. It's super catchy. It's one of those songs that if somebody wasn't a huge Taylor fan, I feel like I could play them this song and they could have a really fun time with it. It definitely feels like summer to me. It feels like rolling down the windows with your friends and driving to the beach, or, I mean, I don't have a beach, so driving to the mountains, I don't know where I'm going, but just having a solidly good time.
Jacob, any response?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something bittersweet about the song. And I think a lot of us feel that way sometimes when we look back at summer and the summers of our lives. Like, they're all these great memories, but they've kind of gone by. And it is a really great song. I've really become more partial to it over the past week or so as I've been listening to it. And I agree with what Ashley said. It really just makes you think of summer, the windows down, and that kind of time in your life that, whether you're young or less young, you're still, everyone knows what that's like, that kind of quintessential summer. So yeah, I think, and I love just the imagery through the lyrics. It makes me think of so many things. I can relate it to our podcast, Happy Horror Time, but I can also relate it to Scream in different ways. And so it made me think of a lot of things, just the imagery alone.
Wow. So I'm going to come back to that. Give me a second here. So I want to weigh in. I want to hear what you have to say about the podcast and Scream. But so, this song, if you had to have like a consensus song for like what the mass audience, like what captures like Taylor's imprint on the mass audience, at least this version of Taylor Swift, not the version 10 years ago, I think that it's Cruel Summer. And it's weirdly, it's a great representation of her because one, despite it being very fun and boppy and easy to listen to, and for just about anybody, you can put this on, everybody has a good time. It also captures her entire career in a way because of the Cruel Summer that's in question here is the summer of 2016 when her reputation was at a low point because that was the Kim and Kanye feud, and she kind of went MIA for a year before she wrote Reputation and kind of started to shed off, the bad publicity, the cancellation, whatever you want to call it. And so that's what this song is about. And it's also, in addition, about like this kind of romance that she's having and like how relatable it is, maybe gets lost in the sauce of just how well it's produced because it has an amazing production. Like it's a bop, but I think it's a very sad song. The song for Friday is Cornelia Street from Lover as well. And both we talk in that recording about how Lover, the album, is a song about anxiety, for lack of a better phrase, and especially like anxiety around a relationship. And like I think Cruel Summer expresses that. Like there's a lot of fragility and uncertainty that she talks about, and like how she wants to commit to this guy, but she doesn't want to scare him off, So it's balancing like living in the moment that sometimes we feel pressured to because we don't want to like seem clingy, but and having fun versus asking for more and like actually staying true to yourself, So it's like having the time of your life, but also wanting more from the situation. And my philosophy is life is too short to play games. So, but yeah, I don't know. Jacob, you referenced earlier that if you can tie it to things in Scream. Please bring it on.
Just looking through the lyrics and the different imagery, it actually makes me think, I have to use my imagination a bit, but it makes me think of maybe taking me back to Scream, the original, and maybe the relationship that Sydney could have had with Billy had things not gone the way that they did. And you can see little clues in the lyrics that make me think that way because, she says, bad boy, shiny toy with a price. Is he the bad boy? I mean, I think you could argue that Billy Loomis is a bad boy. And she even says, killing me slow out the window. Doesn't that make you think of Billy Loomis outside her window and just So it's sort of an imagination kind of thing. It's not, it just makes me think of Sydney and kind of how things could have gone if her mother hadn't been murdered the year before, and if her life took a more normal trajectory. Maybe she would have had a cruel summer moment in her summer like this. And it also just makes me think of the fact that her youth was kind of stolen from her. And this song makes me think of youth. And that's why it's universal, because we can all, we can kind of identify with the youthful imagery and the things that she's saying in it. So it just sort of makes me, if I'm trying to consciously relate it to Scream somehow, it's like, well, that's how it takes me back all the way to the original, to the first one or two when Sydney's younger, and I'm kind of lamenting on the things that didn't happen for her because of the trajectory that her life took because of the awful events of her life.
Yeah. No, I think that's actually an amazing way to tie it to Scream, is to look at the youthfulness of it. And like the thing is, like, it's youthful. I think Cruel Summer is a youthful song, but it's kind of like a grown up version of youthful. It's not like a fearless youthful. It's something. It's more matured and more more sophisticated than I think other youthful songs come across, even though there are lessons being learned here, and there's something very new and young and not really being sure of how to manage the situation, which I think definitely applies to Sydney. Ash, anything you want to respond to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm somebody who, if somebody says like, make this relate to something, my brain can do that pretty easily for some reason. And when Jacob said he could relate it to Scream, I was like, oh, the window line for sure. It's like, and she's like being like, I'm always waiting for you to be there. And I think she was kind of like hanging on to like wanting Billy to like show more affection and do more like the classic sweet boyfriend role. But the part that I always think of, like, I literally think about this part when I hear it. And I was like, I feel like you could like somebody could make a cool montage of like cool Sydney Billy moments. When she goes, so cut the headlights, making me think like, make it dark. Summer's a knife, like, so literally a knife. I'm always waiting for you just to cut to the bone. If you took that like literally, like she's like waiting for him to either like break up with her or to hurt her. Devils roll the dice, meaning he's in control and he's the devil. Angels roll their eyes, which is literally what she does to him and Stu, being like, you guys are so fucking, you're such losers, like making this about like, not in my movie, bitch. And then she says, and if I bleed, you'll be the last to know, meaning like, I'm going to win this no matter what. And if you have hurt me, you're going to be the last to know, because I'm going to kill you right before it happens.
And I'm the final girl. I'm the survivor.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to ask you both a question about this song, because this is probably, when it comes to Swiftie lore, there is one lyric in this song that I haven't had one Swiftie be able to tell me what the fuck it means. Because it is just so random. And that is, hang your head low in the glow of the vending machine. I'm not dying.
You're asking me what that means?
Yeah, no one knows. It's like the common thing throughout like the Taylor Swift like fandom is that no one can put like I think all lyrics are up for interpretation, obviously, but there's no consensus on that lyric of what she's trying to convey there.
Right. I always interpret it as like she's drunk. I don't know. And like, but like she's having a good time, but like she's also, I don't know, because she talks about drinking a lot in the Lover album.
I'm picturing like a man like, hang your head low in the glow of a vending machine. And I'm like, why is she saying she's not dying? Is she saying like, I'm not dying because he's so hot in the glow of a vending machine?
I thought it was like, oh, I'm so wasted. I'm drunk. Like, I'm just going to put my head down. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Jacob, please save us.
It's an interesting lyric, and I've got the lyrics pulled up in front of me, and I hope that they're accurate, the ones that I've got pulled up. But I thought the same thing, that it was hard to crack. Like, what is this about? And sometimes songwriters, though, they put things in their songs that you can't really figure out unless they come out and say it. That's something about the artistry of a songwriter. Sometimes, it's very obvious what they're talking about, but other times it's like, this thing is secret. It needs an explanation. And it may be one of those lyrics that is like that, where only Taylor really gets it. And if she comes out and explains it, maybe it makes more sense. I mean, what she's saying, hang your head low in the glow of the vending machine, that's a visual, that's imagery. And so she could just be talking about a moment that comes to her mind when she's thinking about the greater picture of the song. She could be talking about a moment with a guy where, because, she's talking about, being in the back of the car and, drunk at one point in the song. And so she's giving different visuals throughout. But yeah, I think it just could be one of those things where it's just sort of a piece of a memory that maybe she has that's related to the song. And it's a mystery. And that's kind of the fun about it too, how we kind of get to interpret it ourselves and try to figure it out and do the little detective work, but we may never know what she really is referencing there unless somebody asks her directly, which is kind of fun and alluring.
I completely agree. I always took it as like, it's like one of those little moments like when you can picture like the person that you are like infatuated with, and like they look to you, you're just like, wow, damn, you look so good in the glow of that vending machine. Or whatever. And then it's like, I'm not dying being like, I'm not over here being like, holy crap, you look so handsome. And like, that's always like how I interpreted it. But like hearing all of the kerfuffle about this one lyric, every time I hear it, I go, I wonder, like, I'm just so curious. So I wanted to ask what you guys thought. But I think what you guys said makes complete sense. And it's always like, people always say, what's the one question you would ask Taylor Swift? And that might be mine, is be like, can you just give me the tea on what you were going for here? Because there's just like, but I would never tell it. I would never tell a soul what they said. Or what she said. I would just be like, absolutely not. I will not.
Well, I would just add to it too that whoever this song is about, if it's about one person, they might know what that's about. They might know that might be targeted toward them. So when they see these lyrics or hear the song, they might know what that point in the song is about. They might be the person in the memory. So I think that's special that we kind of have our own relationship with songs and how we interpret them as fans of the music, but then the people that are actually the subject matter have a different relationship with it.
Right. I've always, and I feel like I gave such a horrible answer for this. Wow, Ashley, I was not prepared. But yeah, I think your interpretation is pretty on point, because that's the whole, that goes with the whole theme of the rest of the song, which is this idea of like, being completely, utterly obsessed with somebody, or and wanting more from them, and you can't have it. I think what you said makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so I think that like, it's a brilliant song, right? And like, again, like it's so stinking wordy, because like the thing about Taylor Swift is that she's known for the lyrics. I think this song, I think that a lot of people who listen to this song on the radio, at parties, whatever, they have no idea what she's actually saying, because it is actually so stinking deep. The song is just so fun. Yeah, I don't know. You guys completely schooled me today on Taylor Swift.
We really
Times
did.
Screen.
We should maybe make this a segment between Jacob and I.
Wow, see, Jacob has gotten what he's wanted. Like, he's colonizing my podcast. Okay, so before we go, I just want to I have this really fun. So they brought their A game. I brought my dub game, I guess. But like, so I was watching And Just Like That recently, and I was thinking how Ashley is kind of the Charlotte of my life. I feel like you have very Charlotte energy, And I was thinking about Jacob, because like in And Just Like That, Carrie, she loses her husband and she finds a new friend in Seema, and I feel like Jacob and I are very much Carrie and Seema, where they have like this really like, they aren't like longtime best friends, but when they become friends and then they're kind of inseparable, and like you really see like this like really intense friendship, even though there isn't the history there. And so I just wanted to relate that back to you. Not that anybody gives a shit about And Just Like That on a Scream podcast, but it is what it is. It's my show.
Yeah, I think, and just to be clear, I'm Carrie Bradshaw and you're Seema, and we have to make that clear to the audience. Here's a funny coincidence. So today, as we're recording this, we released a clip of a recent episode on social media where our co-host Tim is talking about Sex and the City. So I just think, what another funny little coincidence that we're talking about. And Just Like That. It's weird that the Sex and the City universe keeps like making it into horror movies somehow, but it's fun.
Yeah. Well, and so one of my best friends, Joey Valisi, he and we bonded over before Scream 5 came out, the season 1 of And Just Like That came out, and he and I were just becoming friends around that time. So going through And Just Like That before Scream 5 for us, that was like a huge pillar of our friendship, because we're both like independently like longtime Sex and the City people, and he's always like kind of like the Samantha to my Carrie, because like so Jacob and I actually had an argument about this over the weekend. We both feel like we're Carrie Bradshaw, and like it's like the battle of who's going to win. But like for me, like Joey is very much like a Samantha to me. me in terms of like, I don't know, like the slightly older sibling wise, non-judgment, zone of protection. That's how I feel about him. And so, I feel like it's fun. I'm casting the characters of my life, of Sex and the City here, which is fun. So, and for the record, Jacob is Seema. But no, the truth is I probably have Seema energy more than Jacob does. So I guess I have to be her, but that's fine.
Who's Miranda?
Not me.
Oh my
I
God.
volunteer to not be Miranda.
I will take Charlotte any day because I am pretty like hopeless
Perky.
romantic.
Yeah.
When you guys were like debating, I was like, guys, don't fight. And then, but at the same time, like if somebody hurts one of my people, I literally will walk up to them and say, I will curse the day,
The day you were
born. Like you can say whatever you want to me, rolls off the back. If you mess with one of my people, like the other day I heard like this lady yelling at it was a man yelling at a woman that I'm working with right now. And I literally almost ran downstairs. Like, it's not my job to help defend her, but like, I thought he was getting mad at her. I realized he wasn't, but I was about to like throw hands and be like, stop yelling at her right now, sir. So she's always got cute dogs.
There you go. There you go. So, all right. And everybody, for the record, we're recording this on the day of like, and just like that, like the new episode premieres literally in 30 minutes. I can't wait to go watch. So by the time everybody hears this, the episode will be out in the universe. So, but yeah. So guys, thank you so much for a cool summer and a cruel kickoff to summer with Happy Horror Time and Scream with Ryan C. Showers. This is, and I can't forget Squirrel and Spud. So Ashley, please tell everybody where they can find you online.
You can find me at Squirrel and Spud 9 on Instagram. There you'll find my Etsy store and all the fun ramblings of me posting random weird things. But the best thing I post is on Wednesdays, which is the Scream game that Ryan and I collab with every week. And we have so much fun with it. So please take a look. And if you ever have any ideas or suggestions, send them our way of stuff you'd like to see, or let us know which one's your favorite so we can do more of those. But yeah, I love it. And Happy Horror Time is so good, guys. Please go listen. It's such a fun podcast. And the energy between everybody is just top notch. So you gotta go listen. I'm telling you now, go listen.
I agree.
Thank
Happy
you so
Horror
much
Time.
for saying that.
Yeah, Happy Horror Time is the shit. So I love it. And I love the friendship. Like, I mean, you two are like two of the people I talk to most, like top 5 people I talk to most during my days. So this is so fun just to be here hanging out with you two. Jacob, where can they find you and your podcast?
You can find us at Happy Horror Time everywhere on social media. It's just at Happy Horror Time. But if you really want to do me a favor, if you like my voice, if you like my appearances on these episodes of Scream with Ryan C. Showers, just go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. It's just Happy Horror Time. Hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate it. Thank you for everything that you just said, Ashley. It's so good to see you as well on this podcast and hang out with you. And of course, hanging out with you, Ryan. I feel the love, and I love hanging out with you guys and being on the show. So thank you.
And as my good friend said in the season finale first year, I'm Carrie Bradshaw, and this is Sex and the City. No, I'm just, wow, I'm so awful. I'm just like, gotta get it back on track here. So, okay, what's your favorite scary movie with Ryan C. Showers? Okay. All right, everybody, thank you so much.
All copyrighted material used or referenced in this show belong to their rightful owners and made possible by the Fair Use Act.
And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back. Get another beer, you want one? Yeah, sure. I'll be right back!